Yeah.
As you've moved forwards through your career, you've kept some entrepreneurial ventures going while also continuing the career in marketing. So how do you find the balance between the two of those two things?
In terms of time, in terms of mindset, in terms of
Everything, I think. Yeah, in terms of splitting your energy across time, money as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Money's always the hard part. That's the hardest part of everything, keeping the money, because setting up your own venture sucks money out of you. But it's amazing how you can spend so much time trying to build something and create something, and how much money it sucks. So that's a hard thing. The time and balance is really interesting, because when I do things for myself, I do things that I am hugely passionate about, and more importantly, I'm the driving force, and so I'm the one who's the impetus and the momentum behind it, and I get very, very excited by it. And whilst I'm doing the things that I would do in my day job, it doesn't feel like a job. It just feels like I'm doing it. It's a bit like sitting down and doing a Sudoku puzzle. People will do it for fun. Instead of doing a Sudoku puzzle, I will look at my mobile application, look at how do I optimize it, or how do I make a marketing plan for that, or who can I partner with to support my business development. So it's looking at it that way. And then the day job becomes functional. So you're using your skills and you're fine-tuning and honing your skills, but in a way that doesn't give you the pleasure that you're doing for yourself. So they do kind of coexist in a really nice way. At some point, however, you've got to let go of the day job, and that's when it becomes really panicky, because having a salary coming in all the time gives you a laxity that you can do things in a way that you wouldn't be able to do when you have to make sure that your ventures are providing you with an income.
Definitely. And I think it's a really interesting part when it comes to buying a business as well, because if you've started one, presumably you've started something that you're really interested in, that is you're passionate about, and that you're going to drive forwards. But if you're buying a business, you kind of need to make sure that you're getting into something that you can be excited about, that you're going to be giving your time and energy to. In fact, just earlier this week, I was interviewing a lady for a case study who'd sold a business through our site twice, because the first time she sold it, it was a family business. She inherited it from her late mother, and then she emigrated and decided to sell it. But she sold it to someone who was kind of not really the best fit for it. It was a very sort of front of house event business, and they didn't really have the sales experience, and it just wasn't quite a fit, and the performance really started to dip, and then she had to kind of take it back over while she was not in the country. And it really highlighted that kind of lesson for me as well, that if you're buying something, you need to be very clear about what it is, and know that you can actually, you know that you'd be excited to come and do it every day, because it's a big investment of your time, isn't it?
It's a huge investment of your time. But I think the challenge on that as well is also, so I do a lot of work with franchisees and people who buy businesses, either franchise or even buy other businesses. And I'll use an accountant as an example. If you're buying an accountancy business, typically you're an accountant. So because you've got those core skills to deliver that service. Wonderful. That makes complete sense. The problem is when you run your own business, you are not an accountant anymore. You might be providing accountancy services. You might be doing those accountancy services, but you are now a business owner. That means you're in charge of HR. You're in charge of legal. You're in charge of finance. You're in charge of operations. And you're in charge of making sure there's enough tea in the cupboard for when you want a cup of tea. But the other big thing as well is you're in charge for marketing, business development, and sales. And these are a whole range of skills that people aren't prepared to. They think, oh, by the way, and more importantly, you buy a business. Brilliant. I've bought a business. This business is earning £100,000 a year, £1 million a year, whatever it turns out to be. What you have to remember is that all businesses, no matter how big or small, have churn. Clients fall down they say, right, okay, we don't need your services anymore, or we're selling up and we're doing something different, they will fall out. So that £100,000 can become 90,000 and becomes 80,000. You've got to build a pipeline to make sure that you have that filling up and filling up and filling up. And now very, very quickly, you step outside of your comfort zone. You step into an area that you have no experience in. And so that becomes a huge challenge. And people don't look at it that way. They think, oh, I'm an accountant. I know how to do accountancy. They've got £100,000. I can buy that business. I've now got £100,000 business. No, it's not that simple.